Welcome to the Popcorn Talk Network. For the online broadcast network that features movie discussion, news, and interviews, press 1.
Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
From the Popcorn Talk Network, the online broadcast network for movie talk, we bring you on an expedition through the depths of the movie industry to discuss the amazing, terrible, and amazingly terrible movies based on video games. Our hosts' entire lives are dedicated to a single goal. Probably answering the age-old question, do games make good movies?
Hello everybody out there in the Popcorn Talk world, and welcome to Video Game Movie Anatomy, where we break down the film adaptations of some of our favorite pieces of interactive media. I am one of your hosts, the internet's Mark B. Donica. Today we're talking about Hitman, but I'm not doing it alone. I am joined, as always, by the wonderful player 2, Mrs. Stacey Shuttleworth.
That's right, I'm Stacey Shuttleworth. You can find me online on Twitter at Ye Old Nerd, or all over the internet, Twitter included, at Nerds Doing Stuff.
And unfortunately, Patrick was unable to join us today. A minor emergency is keeping him from the studio. We do have a little bit of input from him from this movie, which we'll get to when we get to our controller toss moments. But today, we are covering Hitman from 2007 in celebration of the release of the oddly episodic PS4 release of Hitman, which is going to be coming next week. This I was actually fearing, to be honest.
I was terrified. It has a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, people tearing it apart.
And the only real name in it is the star, Timothy Olyphant.
Yes.
Which I would not peg for an Agent 47, but so let's break it down, and then we'll get to our speed runs and all of our fun stuff that we have planned. So, to break down this movie, a gun for hire, known only as Agent 47, hired by a group known only as the Organization, is ensnared in a political conspiracy, which finds him pursued by both Interpol and the Russian military as he treks across Russia and Eastern Europe. That's pretty accurate, pretty apropos. And the use of the word trek dictates the pace of the movie.
It really does.
So, unfortunately, like we saw the hope in this movie, and there was like, oh, this is pretty starting out as a pretty standard action movie with some cool moments, and ultimately, to me, that's kind of all it ended up being. It never really surpassed its expectations. What first thoughts on Hitman?
I really enjoyed it. Yeah? Not as in this is a movie that you really think about and there are things that are happening, but I did not want my hour and 30 minutes back after watching it.
See, that was me with Need for Speed. And go back and watch that episode, because Patrick hated that movie with a fiery passion.
Angry about that one.
But that's one of those movies, and this one I agree with you, is one that if it comes on TV, it's like, there's nothing else on. I'll watch it, man.
I'll sit there and watch it in the background.
I'll watch Need for Speed.
Why not? There was some cool stuff going on.
Yeah. And just for another clarification, we are doing the 2007 Hitman, not Agent 47. This show actually did cover it back last summer when it came out. That's back when we had our host, Kiori Takei, and Patrick. They took on that one while I would think I was still in Austin for that one for RTX, but kind of missed the boat on that one. So, let's get to our speed runs. So this is where you look on the back of a box of a video game, and it's got just like a quick blurb like, Mortal Kombat has a cheesy script but nails the spirit of the game. Street Fighter's costume designer was the only person who did their job on the film, actors and all. Just to name a couple of examples. It's a quick, definitive blurb about the film. Stacey, what do you got?
All right, so I've got Hitman is the ideal film for video game fans who are looking for nonstop action, kind of, but have always felt that the unnecessary distractions of character development and plot only get in the way.
Ooh, that's good. That's really accurate, though, too.
That's how I felt while watching it.
Hey, these are characters and things are happening. Just strap in, here we go.
Yeah.
I have a by-the-numbers action film that hits on some levels, but proves the movie business is no game. And this is I think one of the only reasons why we're covering this movie is because it is a video game movie, because there's nothing notable that really came out of this. Timothy Olyphant had a great career before, has a great career afterwards. Justified was a hell of a series. There was nothing that that had Hitman. This didn't have its defining moment.
No, really not.
That makes you go Hitman, because at least
it's cool.
like Far
Yeah.
Cry. If you missed that episode, we did it 2 weeks ago for Far Cry Primal. That had the dialogue was weird. When all of the super soldiers break out, like that's still like that's something that only happened in Far Cry. For Hitman, it's like, oh, okay, this is a movie about an assassin.
Run-of-the-mill action assassin movie.
The only thing that made this a Hitman movie were the symbols on all of his stuff, because it's directly from the game, and the barcode on the back of everybody's head. So yeah, it wasn't something that really flew out of the screen going, oh, everybody, this is great. But it was an enjoyable movie.
Is that how movies usually come at you?
At me specifically? Yeah, yeah.
When
I have
something to offer?
I have a disorder where it's like, whoa, space and Star Wars, wow.
Amazing. I wish they came at me like that.
Well, it's a specific type of 3D glasses that you need to wear. It's my 4X experience. But we go from here to what we call our controller toss moment. It's that moment where you're watching the movie and you either silently or very loudly have a "you have got to be kidding me," and you toss your controller across the room. These are positive things or negative things, because we have done a couple where I found a positive one. What was yours?
So I pulled a couple.
Ooh,
but
okay.
I think my big one was towards the end, right before he goes back in to finally take out the original Belikov.
Yeah.
And so it's a scene between him and Nico, and they've had this weird thing going on for this entire time, and it's like, what are you going to do? What I do? And then all of a sudden, his motives have like completely flip-flopped, and he's not doing it because he was hired to do this hit, which was the motivation at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
It's because it's for your sake. It's so you don't keep being hunted. Just, okay.
And then at the end, there's a realization of like, you think we would do all of this just for that?
What?
A lot of the motivation, I agree, was just so all over the place. One of the things that I was really sad about before I get to one of mine, and I want to hear more of yours. And we have Patrick still, is they changed the opening of the movie. There was a lot of post-production and reshoots.
Right.
And they used footage from Dark Angel.
That was hilarious
Just
to
like,
learn,
what?
by the way. Okay.
Like, because one of the things that I like about the Hitman series is it's kind of like the new Daredevil in general, where 47, like that whole organization is religiously based. At least like one of 47's mentors is a priest. So they had a little bit of the religious implications in here, and if they hammered it home at the beginning, oh, it's because it's a religious organization, or he at least has some religious ties. That's why he's getting rid of Nika's advances. That's why he's doing this for this reason. Like it would have made a lot of things more clear.
But they used the religious overtones just when it suited them. They disappear and then come back into play when they needed a quick plot device.
Yeah,
and that was
my favorite
all it
line
turned
is an allusion to, or one of my favorite lines is an allusion to that, and we'll get there. Let me do Patrick's. We'll go back to yours, and then we'll come back to mine. So Patrick wanted to like. I'm just considering this as his controller toss moment. When they're in the car trying to escape, or trying to go to Turkey, which we figure out is to see Belikov's brother and take care of him. There was just no border, and they just got it. There's nothing. Like we had a scene with Mike and the Russian general Komarov, where they were like, we've got people at train stations, at every street, at every this, at every that, and it was something that you go, oh, covered, totally covered, and I guess we're supposed to think once they figured out that he was going more inward, oh, well, let's just pull all of our assets interior.
No need to guard these trains.
No, just
in case they're not correct.
Or anything at the border.
Or at all.
Which is the stupidest. So yeah, that made me go, wait a minute. Two, like as I was watching, I was like, wait, they're just driving in a car and nobody's like, hey, like bald American guy with woman in trunk.
Not suspicious.
Nobody at that checkpoint did anything.
Nothing.
We're in the old country for that. What was another one of yours?
The rest of mine are more kind of nitpicky, just moments where I was like, okay, well, that takes a little suspension of disbelief. One, after he blows out his room in his escape the first time, and they walk in, and there's the laptop sitting open, still running, the only thing untouched in this charred room.
Oh, well, it was flickering a bit. And also the fact that it was like, hard drive permanently deleted forever. Like, just in case you didn't realize it, that's what we're doing.
Beautiful.
And this was a good controller toss moment that I liked when he flew through the window at the kids that were playing Hitman.
Yes,
and they're just like,
so good.
like, that was a good one. That's like, tip of the hat, nod of it.
That was
Very
a nice
good.
little reference.
So my negative controller toss moment, this scene, which I actually found out was a reshoot in the train station,
Yes.
when it's a standoff with all of the guys, and he goes, don't you want to die with dignity? And they all go, you know what? I do. Let's put our guns away.
All simultaneously.
And all pull out our swords, our miniature swords, and then just start having a killer sword fight. Couple of things. One, we have no explanation as to the suit, the suit store that he went to. He lost all of his gear.
He walks into this store.
Yeah.
There are people on the street. It's clearly closed. Just walks in this unlocked door and comes out with a new suit. That's on this list too.
If we had seen if we saw like a little symbol that's for the organization. Cool. Then go in there, grab your suit, whatever, you're good. So not only did, as far as we know, he go into just a regular suit shop, but he also found the same exact swords, unless he stole them off of another guy that was tailing him that we never saw. He inexplicably had those swords back. And he lost all of his equipment. It's very bizarre.
It magically comes back to him.
And it was an okay fight. Like
I loved it.
It was fine, but it was just like, let's fight with it. It's like when you're playing with your friends when you're kids. They're like, guys, let's have a sword fight now. Yes. Okay. Oh, I got you. You're dead now. Oh, you're dead too. Oh, I stabbed you in the hand. It was gross. Oh, that's no fair. Now I can't hold my gun anymore. And those other two guys weren't essentially dead. They could have taken out their guns and just shot down. For many,
they were going with dignity.
Well, here's the thing.
It's very important.
It's a 3-on-1. The hit on 47 was taken out, and to get paid and complete the job, presumably from what we learned from the movie, every member of the organization was after him.
Right.
So that was the stupidest thing. When you have a 3-on-1 advantage, or 6 sword to 2 sword advantage, 6 gun to 2 gun advantage. Two of the guys had shots right at him.
Nope.
It's like, hey, one of us lives to go, mission complete.
Right, and it's not like they'd be emotionally attached to one another to where they care if he shoots someone else.
47, you were like my brother.
No.
It's not like Nines from Force Awakens. Traitor! Like, no, it's nothing like that.
Nah, they're not going to be torn up about
Just stupid clandestine spy organization. How many controller toss moments do you have?
So that was suit
another
shop
one?
was one of them, and then the only other one is a nitpick.
Yeah.
Which was all really cool setup, how like meticulous he was setting up his hotel room. But when he goes and grabs his guns out of the ice machine, I mean it was a fully functioning ice machine, right? And there was ice in there. That's usually not a good mix for weaponry and ice.
Well, maybe it was a specially manufactured gun. Like, we don't know.
Maybe.
We don't know.
But
we have for our cast a lot of. I think one of my favorite things about this film is how international it is. This doesn't feel like an American movie in Russia. This feels like a Russian movie where they went, no, we need one American. Okay, let's go Timothy Olyphant. Timothy Olyphant is Agent 47. Did you like his performance?
Yeah, I did actually. I thought he pulled it off pretty well. Just that kind of detached, and maybe it was because there was not very much acting involved or any character development really. So it wasn't a hard sell. But as far as pulling off the action scenes, he did a good job with them.
What about his quips? Because he didn't have them too often, and they weren't like during the big action scenes.
Right.
So like when you think of 47, like it's this cold, calculating sort of guy who is detached, and I think he totally nailed the detached.
Right.
But it was totally, oh, that's Timothy Olyphant. Like
the tropey
a lot of it was like
quips.
that's Timothy Olyphant playing a spy, playing this guy. But he was enjoyable.
Yeah.
I think if
so.
this wasn't a Hitman movie, probably would have enjoyed it a lot more.
If you weren't trying to compare it to the game.
Like that's that character. Oh, that's not that character. Whatever.
Right.
His counterpart, I called him his Inspector Zenigata for any of you Lupin the Third fans out there. Mike Whittier is the Interpol agent, or is the character of the Interpol agent that's trying to take Agent 47 down, played by Dougray Scott. I liked him a lot.
Yes.
Because he did a lot of hero qualifiers, as Action Movie Anatomy puts it. It's just like, this, you don't get it. This guy's totally... I mean, he was clearly very Scottish, though. Yes. Olga Kurylenko as Nika Boronina, our female lead, the only female in the movie.
Much the whole film.
Aside from other strippers. This is a Star Wars moment, kind of, where we had Slave Leia and then all of the other slave girls in Jabba's palace, sort of a thing.
They didn't last long, though.
Well, presumably they're not dead, because he only shot people with guns, and they were probably cowering and scared to death. But I don't think he shot them. He only takes care of what he needed to be done. And but her presence is immediately felt. She's a very strong character, very rebellious, and this almost made it for my favorite, or from my favorite exchange anyway. But when 47 has Whittier in the train station and has already shot him and has gun to him, it's like, no, don't do it. She just saved your life. Like, that was like, oh, that's so cool. Immediately, like, badass to both of them.
Right.
So cool. Robert Nepper as Yuri Marklov, the head of the Russian Secret Service. Cool. I mean, he
served his purpose.
Yeah, he was imposing enough. Ulrich Thompson as Mikhail Belikov and Belikov's double. And then we get into Henry Ian Cusick as Udrey Belikov, the brother, who even in the one scene was just like, wow, that's really fun performance. I really liked Michael Offe as Jenkins, the number 2 from Interpol.
Right.
He was just like, dude, he knows this. He's like, they're both super stoked about this case. Like, dude, look what I found.
They were super into it. It was great.
And getting shot through the arm, just like, my pride hurts more than my arm does. Yeah. Like, it's an action movie cop line.
You are.
So good. And then Christian Eriksen is General Komarov from the really cool how just the little bit of kindness from Mike. No, I'll help you out a little bit. Let's just give you a little bit. Fun cast, not very well known to an American audience, which might have been another thing where people go, oh, it's just Timothy Olyphant. Who else is in it? Oh, you don't know?
Right.
Whatever. And that's no disrespect to the actors that are in it, because everybody... I don't know what it was. Like, this whole thing was just missing something.
Right, but it worked in this weird way.
It did, and it was really interesting. Like, it was just the right amount of, we're bad guys, right? We're bad guys. Don't you talk to me again like that, because I'm the real bad guy. But, yeah, There weren't any
terrible performances going on. It was
or over the top. Everybody was just like, oh, I'm working? Cool. I'm going to put in an awesome performance. So the plot... I'll talk about this kind of side by side with production, because this has a long storied history. This movie started being optioned in February 2003. It was Eidos and IO Interactive, the publishers, started trying to like, oh, hey, 20th Century Fox, we want you to make a Hitman movie. Or no, they were going around to a couple of studio houses, and 20th Century Fox ended up getting it. And there was a lot writing on it. Vin Diesel was going to be the executive producer and star, which back then would have been huge.
Yeah.
This would have been, he's like, what, I get to be like a cool-ass Riddick type of guy. He's a huge video game fan. So this kind of right up his alley.
It would have fit perfectly.
But 3 years in developmental hell, Diesel stepped down, and then Olyphant was cast, and Xavier Gens who I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He is very French. But through all of that, he ends up submitting a draft that Fox didn't like, that 20th Century Fox didn't like. And there were a lot of reshoots and a lot of stuff cut down. I think there was even, how much is it, like a half an hour? There was a lot of the original footage that was toned down, which is really, really unfortunate, because I think with something like this, I mean, in terms of the video game, the spoilers for a 16-year-old video game, I don't know how much of it they're going to use in the new one, but 47 finds out that he's essentially a part of a cloning initiative, and I'm happy they didn't really go with that. They just went with like a clandestine organization.
Yes. More brainwashing than cloning.
Yeah. So it could have gotten really kitschy. We don't know how much of the, like looking at what I got here. They changed 47's origins, so we don't know what was shot. The other assassin that was following him in the train station that ended up dying was supposedly a carryover from maybe a small inclusion of a clone storyline, because they looked kind of similar, or he looked like an older version of 47.
Right.
So they kind of softened that up, and then, but as a result, they got into multicultural casting instead of just like, oh, it's just a bald white guy. Cool.
Whole bunch of bald white guys.
Whole bunch of bald white guys trying to kill each other and make the world a better place. So in that regard, the production aspect may have had something to do with why the movie feels a little bit like, oh, this, but, and the...
A little bit? It's pretty choppy. It's really choppy.
How would you, so just as a direct, how would you compare it to Far Cry?
I think Far Cry at least progressed on a level plane. Mm-hmm. It kept going, and it more or less knew where it was trying to go the whole time. Mm-hmm. This one, I spent a while trying to figure out what was going on and get back on board when they suddenly introduced something new and tried to go somewhere else. Like
they spent too much time going, no, just come on, just like, mm-hmm. we'll get to it, we'll get to it, but just come on,
let's go,
let's just keep moving. Mm-hmm. And the traveling parts were slow, yes. And I think the pace was kept to like a moderate, like it was moderately slow some places. Mm-hmm. It never got ramped up, and it never like stopped.
There was no sense of urgency, even when they're like, oh, we have to go here, you know.
And I think another thing that it was that other characters were realizing urgency for, like, we find out that 47 is going to be taking out I was going to say clone, the double of Mikhail through other characters. So instead of him realizing, I've got to get to that church for that funeral in order to, and make that decision to be like, yeah, man, we're totally with you, it's other people.
It's a little removed in that sense.
Yeah, too many people are making choices for other folks on the other side of the movie.
Yeah. That does slow it down a lot.
And in regards to the game, there's no plot there's no plot. In regards to game plots to the movie plot, there's not really too much that carries over from one to the other, just because the games have more time, clearly. And we already talked about the clone aspect. I'm just trying to think. Like, Hitman 2, they go into the religious aspect a little bit more, and by the end you realize, oh, with the key and the symbols and the inclusion of God and religion, that they could have gone into this big area and just decided not to.
They danced around it a little bit and then just like, never mind.
Oh, you know how this is a clue to something? It wasn't. It totally wasn't.
No,
I'm sorry.
Just kidding.
Lied to it.
Nah.
But yeah, in utilizing the Agent 47, like the ongoing adventures of Agent 47, is a good idea. And this was enough, even though I heard it wasn't that great. I wasn't a part of the episode. That Agent 47, the new film, wasn't that great. And initially, there was supposed to be a sequel. There was a sequel in development for this movie.
One.
Yeah.
Yes, and they canceled it.
For some reason. It made a lot more money than
it did
it should
really
have.
well.
This was a $24 million action movie, which in the year 2007 is unheard of. That's really cheap, but considering they did all of their shooting overseas,
Helps it out a little
yeah.
bit.
I will say the sniper shot where the first Mikhail gets taken out kind of looks like the Universal Studios backlot, just a little bit.
A little bit.
Like it looked like the courthouse. It looked like Courthouse Square, and that kind of messed with me. But as I was looking around, I was like, no, it's Russia. I guess that's Russia.
Got back in there.
Yeah, by a little bit. So Xavier Gens, the director, hasn't really had too many big hits. This was his most successful. But I mean, he tried to have a little bit more extreme violence, which a lot of the blood splatter and gooey chunkiness is still around.
Yes.
Absolutely gross. Did that remove you at all? Did you go, nope?
No, at that point I was in it for the action movie, like the mindless kind of action movie aspect of it. If I was going to enjoy it, I was going to watch it like that. And
This is not a airplane movie.
No.
Not one you would watch on the airplane.
No.
So, for a $24 million movie, Hitman made a gross of $92 million, almost quadrupling its budget. So that's 100% a success. Don't know why they sort of fell off of it. They just decided to reboot it 7 years later. The critical on this was interesting because IMDb has it at a 6.3,
right,
which is solid. That's
pretty good.
That's decent.
Yeah,
better than most video game movies out there. While Rotten Tomatoes has it at a 14%. The fan or the audience was, I think, like 57. Yeah.
The audience was much higher. So there's clearly a discrepancy going on.
There seems to be a lot of people who consider
critical-
themselves professional movie reviewers. I'm just kidding. Please ratify us, Rotten Tomatoes. So we have a kind of indifferent reviews. There are a couple that were like super negative. But a lot of indifference.
Right. Very few like outright condemn this movie. They're mostly like, it was kind of fun, but this sucked. Or like just like certain things they nitpick.
Or this sucked, but it was kind of fun.
Right.
Like, it was just like
this sucked, but I enjoyed it.
This is all like paint by numbers. It's so bizarre. So Tim Grierson from Screen Daily said, though stylishly shot and occasionally exciting, this adaptation of the popular video game can only go so far with its mindless violence and cardboard characters. And that was a positive one. He called it exciting, and the camera work was really impressive.
Oh, I thought it was beautiful.
I think that's probably why. I think the camera work was super cool, but then it was like, I'm going to beat you up. Like, it was, there's nothing to, the screen was beautiful, but there's nothing to fill it. Maybe.
But you know what? I think how nicely it was shot kind of moved you through it. It was like, no development, choppy plot, it's cool.
But it was just like,
looks nice.
Yeah.
Oh, some of the sweeping shots, they were gorgeous.
A lot of the shots of Russia were pretty cool. That chapel where the funeral was pretty nice, but that's just Russian ingenuity. Jules Brenner from Cinema Signals said, there's a certain primitive simplicity to it. The editing is awkward in spots, and it derives from a game, but I flat out enjoyed it. And that was a negative one. That
was this negative.
Yeah.
That's almost as negative as most of the ones I read got, too. And I totally agree with that review. That's pretty much how I feel about it, too.
It's very primitive,
yes,
to say the least. But generally, for our review. Let's get to some of our fun stuff. Our favorite lines. There was not as much action camp as you would expect in a movie like this.
Right.
But I have a couple. How many do you have?
You know what? I only had one that really, really stood out.
Okay.
So
I had one that made me giggle and one that gave me like a fist pump. So I'll go with the giggle one first. This was Nika. You don't want to fuck me, and you don't want to kill me. I've never felt so much indifference in my entire life. Which is just like, all right, cool.
That about sums it up.
This is their relationship.
That was it.
Yeah. That was a fun one. What do you got?
All right. So this one's also kind of a fun one. It's from our very own Mike Whittier. And it's when he's talking to Marklov.
Yes.
And the light bulb comes on. Took me a minute. Must be the jet lag. You're telling me to fuck off.
Yeah, that British wit or Scottish. It's just, British. It's good. A lot of his antics were good.
The way he delivered his lines was great. I enjoyed.
And it reminded me,
him.
when we get to recasting, it reminded me of another Scottish actor that I think would be great in that role.
Right.
But this was the line that made me go, no, they should have done more of that from 47. At the end, when Marklov's in the tub, yell all you like. The Lord himself won't hear you. It's like, fuck yeah, man!
That was a good one.
That was so good. Like, do that. Utilize that. Not just, you probably shouldn't. And then just, no, that... I think that's like, but was this what? That could have been cool.
Yeah.
That could have been fun.
That was one of those punchy lines. That got it going.
Just like it was like when lets Nika out of the trunk. He's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "What? I got rid of the body."
That was so great.
Like,
So it's like he doesn't kill someone because she asks him not to, but she still gets to ride in the trunk.
Yeah. I gotta know that she's good for it. Yeah. Like it gets to a part where he just doesn't want to mess with her. Like he's like, yeah, I'll keep messing with her. I see as long as she can take it.
Well, and the great thing was he tried to make her uncomfortable. Like their relationship was weird, but one thing I did appreciate was he would try to make her uncomfortable with all these violent threats, and she would throw it right back at him with the sexual
sex stuff,
jokes that made him uncomfortable. So it's just this contest going on.
And it wasn't like it was flirt. I think the problem is that they were coming from two different angles. And if you had established the religious thing for 47 earlier in the movie, then you would know where he's coming from.
Right.
Because you know where she's coming from, because this has unfortunately been her life for as long as she can remember. And you have that same sort of, you could have had that same sort of tragedy with 47, where this has been my entire life for as long as I remember.
And that would have worked really well. Instead, you just have him kind of being ambiguous about it.
Yeah.
Like, is he going to go for it? Is he interested?
And that's part of the reason why I like that line so much, is it's like, that's her speaking on behalf of the audience.
Right.
And like, literally, I've never felt so much indifference in all my life when you're just watching the movie up on the big screen. For those of you who watched it on the big screen, $100 million worth for all y'all. All right. Let us know your favorite lines in the comments down below, or tweet us at hashtag. Tweet us using the hashtag VGM Anatomy on what your favorite line is or what your recast is. So something that I'm going to do a little bit more on the show is, if a movie has been rebooted recently, we're going to go back to the year that the game came out. So if this game came out year 2000, and instantly 20th Century Fox went, we're making this a movie. Year 2000s, we're going to recast this movie for Agent 47, Mike Whittier, Yuri Marklov, Nika Boronina, and Mikhail Belikov and his double. So this is the year 2000, everybody. In the year 2000. Almost got it. Let's start with the bottom. Let's start with Mikhail Belikov. Who do you have?
Okay, so I have two for this one, and I'll start with my kind of more fun one, I guess. Michael York.
Oh, I like him. He's good. I like him. Picturing with the scars and the, you're drunk, aren't you? Yeah, I like that.
A little bit on that edge.
I got one, Michael Vartan from Alias.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird that for both of my actors are very French. Well, at least French.
Okay.
But I like him, and I like what he brings. And he'd be he'd be in the middle of Alias around then. So yeah, he would be good. Also Jean Reno from The Professional.
Okay.
Because it's weird. The thing that I remember him from as growing up watching films isn't The Professional. It's Godzilla, which is a little bit unfortunate. But back then he just kind of started doing these types of action movies, and to put him in a villain role, I think would be cool. Who was your other one?
My other one was Stellan Skarsgård.
What was he doing back in 2000?
He was in a couple of things. One of the movies was, he was mostly playing kind of just little side roles. And a lot of stuff, but he was in a lot of things, so he was picking up.
His career was starting to pick up.
It was starting to pick up.
This would have been like a small side role, so yeah, I can believe that. I can see that. Let's go back to Nika. Let's go to Yuri Marklov.
Okay.
Who do you have for that?
I picked Jude Law.
Jude Law. Interesting. So I had two for this one.
Okay.
He was just kind of coming up, but he was a good guy at this point. He hadn't played a bad guy yet. Jason Statham, because he had the face where you can go, I don't like that guy.
He does have that look. I like that one a lot.
But if we're going to a little bit more composed, he wasn't as huge as he is now, but Johnny Depp. In the year 2000, he was still kind of coming up on the up and up. He's like, let's give you this KGB role. I think he would be fun in that. Now let's go back to Nika. You said you had a hell of a time doing this one.
Yeah, well, I went through a couple of different actresses because there were a lot of kind of up and coming, and then I settled on two that I.
Who do you got?
So my first one, Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Wow.
Kind of getting into that edgy.
Yeah, coming off
Something
of
to push
Buffy.
her. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Weird. I mean, I think one of the issues with Nika is the very nudity, very
Right.
up in your face nudity, which of course you don't have to go with. I think
Right.
I think they went that for the male viewer, like I mean, clearly, but it's just like, yeah, let's just put a little bit more in there. But like the whipping, while that was a very important scene, I think the nudity was a little bit of a holdback for that.
Right.
It's like there's a tasteful way to shoot that to still make it that much more impactful. To imply nudity instead of just showing it seems a little bit lazy. But again, we're dealing with a French director who's like, nudity, who cares?
That's
Who gives a
fine.
shit? I just because we're talking video games, we're talking Russia, Mila Jovovich, kind of hard not
Right.
to pick. I figured the mine would be a little bit too obvious, but I like that first one because it's a little bit more edgy. Who else do you have?
So my other one was Christina Ricci.
Really?
She would be kind of that younger side
Yeah.
at that time period.
That would have been. Yeah, I like that
But
a lot
she
more
still
than
had that-
my other one was Famke Johnson, but I like that one better. Yeah. I like Christina Ricci a lot more. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. All right, let's go to Mike Whittier, our man at Interpol. Who do you got?
Russell Crowe.
I was thinking Russell Crowe too, but then I thought Peter Capaldi.
Ooh.
Because I forgot the name of the role, but he had like a cop series that he did where he was just he was cussing his mouth off like a Mother Hubbard, but I also at this time he was doing some action stuff here and there, so I think him as just like a grizzled, not as old, this was 15 years ago, so he just would have been 40, so I think the time period adds up, would have been cool.
Right.
I also had Gary Oldman, but I like Capaldi a lot more.
Capaldi's a good one. Yeah. I like that one.
Did you have another one for Whittier?
No, Russell Crowe was
Russell Crowe?
my one.
It's a solid
I'll
choice.
adopt Capaldi, though. I like that one.
47, our agent in charge.
All right, so I cast 47 in my head as I was watching the movie before
Really?
I went and looked at what had happened to this movie.
Interesting.
In production. And, I looked at it and I said, that's Vin Diesel.
At Vin Diesel, yeah. I mean, it's
And
hard to avoid.
it's-
2000s, this would have been awesome for him. This would have been perfect.
Right into the Chronicles of Riddick. I mean,
This would have
That was
paid
the role.
This movie would have paid for Chronicles, would have paid for Last Witch Hunter, would have paid for all of his passion projects. Which you got to hand it to the guy. As high profile as some of the couple of movie series he's a part of are, he still is like, no, I want to do this Last Witch Hunter movie. No, I want to do this Riddick
Right.
movie because it's so cool. I want to make a Riddick video game. So yeah, there's all of this stuff that I think he would bring to it. Did you have anybody else for 47?
No, I didn't come up with another one. That was the one.
I got one. If we're going
Okay.
2000s, I didn't check to see if the movie came out yet, but I think the only thing is you would have to shave his head. But if you want that blank, cardboardy, it would have been a little bit too much so, maybe?
Okay.
You think you may be picking up what I'm putting down? Keanu Reeves for 47. I think he could be awesome at that.
I did consider him.
Because
And then I outruled him, but yes.
I think he would come from a place that's totally genuine. Like he would try to find like the real soul in it. That's a little bit too cage, but whereas Vin would be like, video game, I'm gonna ham this up, I'm gonna cheese it up. So I think Keanu would have been a little bit closer to Oliphant's performance, if not maybe a little bit more distant. And Diesel would have been just like, here we go, just let's have some fun with it.
Right.
So let us know who you would cast in these roles I did it again, using hashtag VGM Anatomy. Make sure to tag us, Ye Old Nerd, Mark B. Donica. This this film was a lot better than we expected. Final thoughts on it?
I mean, aside from being tangled up in the plot a couple of times and, thrown off when it got really choppy, I wasn't really mad about that. I was, busy enjoying how pretty it was, first of all.
Sure.
And, the action scenes were pretty good.
I mean,
even the sword fight that is not justified in any sense of anything.
I liked the gunplay. I liked the utilization of the sniping. It gave it a little bit of feel, like to see how that organization handles cleaning up their tracks is cool. Like to put, I'm just going to put a bomb in the case and then everything will be gone and then there'll be no evidence. I'm going to having him talk to a computer. And the fact that she was called on the phone directly is just like, you've been compromised. Like, was that the woman at the bar? Like, who?
Yeah, that was very disjointed also.
There's a lot of muddiness. There's a lot of muddiness in Hitman, but if you haven't seen it, why are you watching this show? But if you haven't watched it and you were trying to get a feeling for the film with this, give it a watch. Totally. If you're a Hitman fan of the series, watch this movie and feel good about your fandom.
Yeah, it's a fun watch. It was fun.
This would be one. This is like, hey guys, we're gonna watch some movies. We're just gonna get some movies, and if you want, let's watch Hitman. Let's just watch Hitman. It's one of those. It's a great movie to have on, and everybody go, whoa, those are boobs. Like there's a lot to just oft comment on, but. Not bad. We do know that Agent 47 came out, so from this version, they did give it an extra life for the 2015, but that movie totally bombed. So, for the Hitman franchise, knowing what we know about Agent 47 without seeing the movie, would you give this an extra life or a game over?
I mean, I think there's always room for more kind of campy-ish action movies, so let's go extra life.
I say extra life too. I would give it Netflix though, because we already have Daredevil dealing with religion, so it would be a little bit of like here's somebody who still kills despite religion.
Right.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of life to be had from this franchise, especially because they didn't directly go from a game story.
Yeah, the fact that it can be kind of episodic like that. You can do different storylines because that's how the character has been set up. So you can go different directions with it and keep it going for a while successfully.
And Square Enix has a history of just being cinematic with their characters anyway, and we've seen from Tomb Raider, and they're making that into a new franchise. I think Hitman isn't too far behind, and they're just going to have complete creative control, or give it to Sony. Have it be a series on Sony or a movie through Sony. Why not? They can do it. Let us know your opinion on the film in the comments down below, or on Twitter using hashtag VGM Anatomy. Got it. Third time's the charm. Very this show. Third time's the charm. Next 2 weeks, in 2 weeks from today, we are going to be doing Max Payne. Alan Wake is there's a whole chain that Patrick came up with for this. Remedy Studios is who originally developed Max Payne. They also created Alan Wake. Alan Wake is going to be packaged in with Quantum Break, which is going to be coming out for the Xbox One. So because there is no Alan Wake movie, though, I think that would be cool if there was. Let's go all the way back up the chain and do Max Payne. Make sure to check that out very legally. It was really weird that folks in the chat were talking about Mila Kunis, and now we're doing Max Payne. But that was funny. So thank you to Patrick for setting that up for us. Send him well wishes at P to the D's. But until then, Stacey, where can the folks keep an eye on you?
You can find me at Ye Old Nerd on Twitter or everywhere else on the internet, including Twitter at Nerds Doing Stuff.
And you can find me on Twitter at Mark B. Donica. We just did an awesome episode of Jedi Alliance. We do it every Monday. If you're a fan of Star Wars, check it out. If you're a fan of Rooster Teeth stuff, the season of RWBY just ended, but it was a good time. It was depressing.
Still not ready to talk about it.
No, but if you do want to talk about it, make sure to check out AfterBuzz TV. That's our sister site. Leave us a review on iTunes. It helps us out. It keeps the lights on here. So leave us a review, 5 stars, because the rest of the stars don't work. We all know that. And it helps us grow as a show. So please leave us your comments. I have been enjoying doing this show so much, and we hope that you've been enjoying watching it. So. Yes. For Patrick Dees, Stacey Shuttleworth, and myself, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we'll see ya at the arcade.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.